if you're getting a 15 on an event, you're a world champion. Essentially, you're right. You're good.
Unless it's bars and Kaylia Nemour is like, what if I got a 15.5 though?
Then accept
Joe
for
Yachine
that.
on Beam is like, oh, did you know what I have? But yes, you're definitely,
Yeah.
you are one of, if not the absolute very best in the world.
Remember, this show is PG-13, so you might hear a naughty word or two.
Welcome to GymCastic. This week, we're going to talk about the U.S. Classic, the first big elite meet in the U.S. We'll tell you what's at stake and who to watch. We'll continue our code updates from last week with more about bars and vault. And then, big news, there's Parkette banning news. We're going to talk about that. And Nemour has discussed the cost of her gold in a very excellent and detailed interview. Plus, have the FIG bowed to Russian demands? We will discuss and decide. It's July 14th, 2025, and welcome to number 2 Gymnastics podcast in the galaxy. I'm Jessica, and I'm here with Spencer from the Balance Beam Situation. U.S. Classic fantasy game is happening. It's live. Draft at gymcastic.com. There, as always, will be prizes.
This is a lot of pressure.
I know.
I haven't even made a spreadsheet, Jessica.
Spencer, you're so far behind.
I know. It's very stressful.
It's almost like
I have the fantasy gymnastic sweats. That's a thing now, right?
Also, Chicago, are you ready? This Friday is the live show. Friday, July 18th, streaming worldwide, live streaming, or you can come in person. We have giveaways that you cannot get anywhere in person. The behind the scenes people got a preview, and some people said today, and I'm going to just give you a quick flash of it. Postcards. You can't buy them anywhere because they're not for any commercial use. They are just giveaways. So people in the behind the scenes were like, oh my God, can I please buy? There's any way I can get them. I was like, no, you have to come to the live show. So all the VIP is sold out. All the premium tickets are sold out. So get your tickets right now at gymcastic.com. It is featuring Helen Who, co-hosted by Olivia Karras with me. There's a bar, very importantly, but it is an all-ages show. There's a Q&A from the audience. There's prizes for streaming. And now we have a choreography quiz featuring NCAA champion, gymnast turned dancer for GymCastic, Charlie Larson. It's going to be really fun. Can't wait to see you guys there on Friday. So let's talk about the headlines first.
All right, let's go.
We have dates for the LA 28 Olympics.
Specific dates.
So artistic will be July 15th to 20th.
Okay, so what's interesting to me about this,
what
I've gleaned. So this is the typical schedule, except there's always that trampoline day break in between. Yeah. Except now it usually stops after qualification, team all around. Then they have the break. Then they have 3 days of event finals. Because at the Worlds, they do event finals over 2 days. But the Olympics, they're like, what if we sold more tickets and did it over 3 days? But now that's 4 days after the break, 22, 23, 24, and 25. So that tells us that our new mixed team event is going to not necessarily, I'm saying, my inference from these dates is that it's not replacing anything, but it will be in that secondary chunk of competitions, because we were wondering, like, are they going to put it before like a team final or an all-around final to trick people into having to compete in it if they've qualified? But so that's interesting to me that it's after, that's presumably based on these dates would be after the break, because there's an extra day of competition that there wasn't before.
That's what I was
with event finals.
Yeah, this is what I was thinking too, which I really like. I mean, I feel like it should be when the really exciting days, which are obviously event finals, are the most exciting days, except that everyone's exhausted. But other than that, they're the best. Okay, I want to talk about what the FIG did, and I want to know your opinion if this is bowing to the Russians. So we talked about this on behind the scenes right when it happened, but okay, so Russia is banned for state-operated doping and for the war on Ukraine. And then there's some of the male gymnasts, especially like Nagorny, Olympic world champ, is basically wanted for child trafficking because he's part of the army and Russia is taking kids from Ukraine and kidnapping them into Russia. It's horrific. So they created these ad hoc rules, the FIG did, where they're like, hey, if you're not affiliated, you don't support the government, you don't support the war, you're not buying drones for the army and gifting them like the men's Olympic team did, you can compete. We understand you are not your country's actions, right? That seemed pretty fair. There was an outside vetting process. now the FIG just put out a statement that said at their last meeting, they have decided that they are going to change the ad hoc rules, and those have already been approved. So they're changing a couple things here. The athlete's voluntary affiliation with government entities, which I think about this one as like, there's gymnasts who go to gyms. They train at gyms that are Army gyms, and it's not like that's just the gym that they go to. It's not like they have a choice. That's like the gym they've trained at since they were little, right? So that's one of the things they're looking at. And then the other thing is if they actively supporting the regime, including public statements, interviews, and media activity, which I am like, isn't that like extremely important that I mean, what are you defining that as now? Is that changing to, I think about Melnikova, who held up her ticket to, there is that Russia lost like 20 million people or something in World War II, right? Before anybody else got involved. It was like an insane number of people. And they, Russia helped beat the Nazis. And they're a big part of it before we even got involved in the US. They have a parade to remember all of those many, many millions of people that they lost in World War II and beating the Nazis. Like everyone can get behind this, right? Beat the Nazis. We're all fans of this, right? So many, especially the female gymnasts who have lost fathers, see NBC for that as a theme on all topics. They have they like walk in this parade and hold up pictures of their family members that they lost, or they honor their grandfathers, great grandfathers. Melnikova went to this and posed for a picture. On the ticket for the event was the symbol for Russia winning over Ukraine. If there's any change, I feel like that is something that maybe is going to be evaluated differently, because otherwise I can't, when you're saying that you bought drones on social media for the Army, like obviously that can't qualify to let you compete as an independent athlete. But what do you think of this?
I don't really know. Basically, they said you can previously rejected applications to compete as an independent athlete can be resubmitted and re-reviewed, and that's basically the gist of what's potentially changing. Although we'll see if anything changes. I just kind of like, at this point, it's very much for me like, all right, we're just going to wait and see what they decide, because every 2 seconds it's like, oh, we're going to allow these athletes now, and then Russia says okay, but then Russia's like, oh no, wait, we don't want this, we're not going to send any athletes to any competitions, and the FIG is saying, well, now we'll reevaluate this. So I'm just like, I don't know. I think we would need more details on the decision rather than just the statement of like active support or voluntary affiliation. Like that's a very broad thing to say, which was, I guess, part of the criticism to begin with, which was a lack of transparency and seeming a lack of consistency in just how are you making these decisions. I don't think that has changed. So I'm kind of just like, we'll see what happens. I don't even.
Yeah, I feel like we're 100% going to have our Russian artistic athletes at the World Championships. 100%. That
right,
maybe
not that recording now.
Maybe not the men, but definitely on the women's side. Yeah. So because I don't know if it's, in a lot of countries I don't know how the men are going to get out of being part of the military, because there's conscription now, and I'm sure they had to do something but we'll see. Okay. Huge, gigantic, massive news. Olympic champion on bars, Kaylia Nemour. You remember Nemour, obviously, for her fantastic bars, being so delightful and amazing every time we interview her in the mix zone with all these at the World Championships. And also because there was a huge fight with the federation and her gym. Her coach was actually fired from his national team job for endangering athletes. There was then a huge investigation. 47 interviews. He was then cleared, but the federation still wanted her to leave and not be coached at that location and move. She ended up changing countries rather than move the location where she was coached. That's just some of it. There's an excellent article by Laura Capella, who's in the New York Times, who's also been a correspondent for GymCastic, who is fantastic. And she has a great article that goes into all the details of why the greatest gymnast in France is competing for Algeria. Specifically in this article, before we get to Nemour's quotes, I just want to go through some of the things that Laura Capella has in this interview.
So the article says that what started as a power struggle over training sites, quote, devolved into accusations of overtraining, caustic exchanges, and an 18-month administrative inquiry that concluded last December that the Federation was hounding Nemour's home gym.
So that is the background to this. So now Nemour did an interview with Spot Gym, and the biggest point to me in this article is where she said, at some point I said stop. And I was like, oh, good. She's finally talking about what was really going on at the gym, because if we have talked about this before, that we have never seen a more miserable athlete training and doing gymnastics, podium training halls, just looked so unhappy. So some of the quotes from this article, Spencer, if you would.
Yeah, so she said, one, and these are quotes in translation to English, so, I realized that this beautiful Olympic medal, I also won it by accepting the unacceptable, but I wish to keep the positive despite everything. She says, I matured and realized that the training methods were no longer in line with my values, nor adapted to my age. I was emotionally exhausted. I was training in conditions where I no longer recognized myself. And at some point, I said, stop. Yeah, I think it's very interesting. I love that athletes are willing to, when in their time, when they feel comfortable with it, say, this is what I thought then. This is where I am now. This is what I was accepting then. This is what I will accept for myself now. And I think it's great insight into just kind of the process and the psychology of how you adapt and think of things maybe a little differently than you did before.
Yep. And she also said, before I did things out of fear of being scolded, disappointing my coaches. Today, I do gymnastics for myself. It's different, and it gives me a lot of pleasure and pride, which I love. So I think I won my Olympic medal by accepting the unacceptable is such a profound, and again, this is a machine translation from the French. I'm sure it's beautiful and even more impactful in French, but it encompasses so much of the elite athlete's experience. It doesn't just have to be gymnasts. It's not just in an abusive situation necessarily. I think there's just but also this echoes the sentiments of other athletes. Like, I think Lori Hernandez is another one who was like, I had to get through this. And then her parents didn't realize until after she was done, when she was like, oh my God, I'm so glad this is over. And they were like, well, what? We thought we dealt with everything going on with your coach. What do you mean? You're so glad that's over. And then they found out all the stuff that Lori was hiding, because if her parents went and talked to her coach, Maggie Haney, who was later banned for a long time and is now unbanned, she served her time, Lori would be retaliated against by her coach. And so Lori stopped telling her parents anything. So I think it's a really important interview for athletes to read, especially, but also for, parents and coaches to read and just be like, reflect. I don't want to end up with my kid telling me this later. What can I do? And Nemour's mom was someone who spoke out a lot about how Nemour should be allowed to stay at the gym and was very involved in the gym and all that stuff. And since then, Nemour has left her gym. So hats off to Nemour for doing what was right for her and speaking out. I think it's just great that she's ready to do this. Do you think there's going to be an impact from this the way there has been when so many other gymnasts have spoken out about training methods that weren't right for them?
I mean, who can say? But I think it's always positive to get it out there, because you don't know who's going to read or who's going to say like, oh yeah, I just think, to your point, I think about how many gymnasts would read these things that Nemour said and just be like aggressively nodding and just like, my experience too. Yep.
Yeah.
So that's always, a helpful thing if people feel like, oh, someone else had the same experience as me. Let me read what they thought.
Aggressively nodding. That is an excellent way to put it. And you're like, I am affirmed.
Yeah. You're like, oh, not only do I hear and understand you, I have experienced the same thing. So I'm nodding with even more aggression.
Speaking of French gymnasts, Melanie de Jesus Santos had revealed that she had surgery. This was also, she put pictures of it, but it was also in the Olympic Channel's article. So she had surgery on her wrist, and she said for a long time she had a vascular problem with her wrist, and she just sort of like, she was taking medication. The medication was not jiving with her, so she went off the medication for a little while, and dealt with the pain, and then she finally had surgery for it. And it's crazy because she shows this whole like apparatus with wires that they're putting her hand in to hold it in position, and it's really fascinating too. But she has a big ass scar from the bottom of her hand down her arm, but that was several months ago. So hoping she is healing and feeling well and enjoying her freaking life. Okay, you guys, Parkettes.
Okay, yeah.
Parkettes probably, besides the Carollis, the most notorious, original 80s abusive gym, 90s abusive gym. We have a whole episode dedicated to the CNN documentary on the Parkettes. And this is where the famous quote, "That was a quitter's try," comes from. You know, when you try so hard, you land on your head. And then that was a quitter's try, Parkettes. So, we now have news that SafeSport, after many years, has acted. So, they have disciplined and suspended some coaches. So Bill Strauss is one of the Strausses, the missus, the other one. He was not disciplined, but issued a letter of admonishment. This story comes from the Morning Call. The allegations are that he tolerated the coach's behavior, and that an educational conversation is what he requires, which is so funny because I remember, I didn't see everything when I was at Parkettes camp as a, middle schooler, but Bill Strauss was the scariest because he was the one that would yell and was, terrifying to me. The other coach that has been suspended is Robin Newtwall. She was suspended for physical and emotional misconduct against gymnasts. That ruling was July 2nd. She posted on her Facebook that she retired a year ago. The big one is John Holman. He has been permanently banned because of physical, emotional, and sexual misconduct he committed against his students. So that is massive and huge. I mean, Parkettes is an institution in Pennsylvania and in gymnastics. They have been around. I think Robin, who was suspended, she's been coaching there for 60 years, almost 60 years. I can't even imagine. Yeah. The thing that after this news came out, a gymnast named Amber Tranny, who we remember, national team, very good elite gymnast, she came out and made a post on Instagram, and she said that she wanted to talk about this because she saw people sort of doubting. After witnessing, quote, several people being bullied for coming forward or having comments made in an attempt to diminish their experiences, I can no longer stay silent. We're like, yes. But I'm waiting for the avalanche of Parkette comments to come out after this. She said that, she tried to get a bag of Cheetos at the hotel lobby because they were refused dinner after, flying across the country. And she was lucky because her parents would actually pack her lunch because they knew that the Parkettes wouldn't feed them. They got in trouble for trying to buy a bag of Cheetos after not eating. And the coaches caught them, ironically, when the coaches were coming back from dinner, which the coaches bought for themselves. They yelled at the gymnast, got the gymnast in trouble for trying to eat. And there's a lot of stuff about, competing on broken bones, being told you're fine, being made to feel, like she was being a wimp for not competing on broken bones, later to find out like her rotator cuff was torn, her, ruptured discs in her back, broke her foot on beam, all that kind of stuff, and just having training on it for a long time because she was made to feel like she should be able to and she was being a baby. So, and other things. So we will link to her statement, but yeah, I expect there to be lots of these. So is there relief when something like this takes so long?
I think that's a question you could only ask the people who've made an accusation, because I'm sure there are lots of mixed feelings about relief versus frustration versus all of those things that are probably all mixed together at the same time.
Yeah, I agree with that. Before we go on to talk about US Classic and tell you what scores you should look for, what routines, all that kind of stuff, and talk about some code changes as well. And plus, we have so much Gymternet news. I want to tell you the schedule for the week. So,
yes.
your schedule, dear listener.
Oh, not my schedule.
Not your schedule, Spencer. Well, first, yes.
Probably the same.
Spencer, you will be drafting your...
I have to draft my fantasy. Oh my God. Yeah.
Go to gymcastic.com, draft your fantasy team. Then live show is on the 18th. So in Chicago, live streaming worldwide. Don't wait till the last second to get your tickets because cannot help you on the day of. We are all busy. And also, you can log in right now if you have a ticket, a virtual ticket, and you can start asking your questions ahead of time. If you have a question for any of us, Liv Karras is going to be there, Corey's going to be there, Charlie Lars is going to be there, I'll be there, Helen, who is our amazing guest. You can ask questions, or you can even ask questions about Spencer, and I will answer for you. I'll be like, listen, here's what you need to know about Spencer. He's the best. That's what I'm going to say. Okay. And then after that, we have Classic. So Classic to watch there's Classic on Friday, the juniors, and then Saturday, you're going to watch Classic. And then right after Classic, we are going to do a podcast.
After senior session 2, once it's all done. Yeah.
Which it'll probably be about 8:30-ish Pacific time. So it's going to be pretty late. But we will do a live podcast after Classic, but it's probably going to be like an hour-ish after Classic ends. And then Monday, we'll have a recap for you. And then week of July 28th, guess what's happening, you guys? You have been asking for this for years and years and years. We finally have interviewed and had Katya Zamolodchikova, the renowned drag queen, on the show. And basically, she came on and we just shot the shit for an hour and a half about gymnastics.
Mm-hmm.
We just...
Some big opinions, some controversial opinions were aired.
Yes. We had so much fun. It was great. So that's the next month. I have it all planned out for you guys. It's going to be very fun. Also, I wanted to let you know about the live show, some specifics. Virtual ticket holders. There's been some confusion. If you get an email that says enter event and there's a link, that's your ticket. Enter event. That's your ticket. Like the link, it's not like a ticket and you have to enter it or scan it somewhere. It's like literally a link. Then you can go in now and submit your questions or even start chatting with people. And also, if you got a replay email that said watch replay, because that sort of accidentally went out, that will also grant you access. So you can literally test it out now and make sure that it works, which we would appreciate because, as you know, small staff. So yeah, it's and if you're having trouble or you need any help, customer service at gymcastic.com. You can always get whatever you need. And of course, we have, if you're not already a Club Gym Nerd member, we are doing that behind the scenes podcast right after Classic for you guys. And of course, we have a bunch of stuff coming up. We have nationals. You get live show discounts. Actually, if you're a Club Gym Nerd member, you get a discount to live shows, and that pays for your first month of Club Gym Nerd membership. And then we're going to Worlds in Jakarta. And you guys, I need to find like a wet sauna to train just to walk outdoors in Jakarta, like fully clothed. How am I going to... I don't do well with humidity, you guys. Do I need to get ice packs?
That's why you came to the West Coast, right?
It
Get out of that
is
humidity.
exactly when I was 10 years old, and I was like, I can't.
You were like,
take it
I'm
anymore."
done with this humidity.
Ugh.
I'm double digits. That's too many years to be in the weather.
All right, let's talk about classic. It is this
I would
week,
love to.
starting with how to watch, Spencer.
Yes, so senior session 2, which is the big name session of the senior competition on Saturday the 19th will be on live on CNBC and Peacock live at 8 Eastern, and then it's on NBC the next day if you're like, I need to watch it on the NBC over the air. You can wait until the next day and then watch it at 4 Eastern. And then of course we will be live following the second senior session. And all sessions of the juniors and senior elites that aren't the main one, the big one, the CNBC one, are on USAG's YouTube. And then Hopes is on Flip Now, the subscription service. If you're really into the Hopes 11 to 12 division, aka you're their parents or aunts. That's like Flip Now is the subscription service for aunts who are like, I watched you.
Or gunkles.
Yeah. We need some more gunkles in gymnastics, by the way.
I know. Because you know what? The thing is that they need what we have at NCAAs. Like we were describing to Katya when she was on the show. We were like, you need to come to an NCAA meet, especially NCAA Nationals, because one side of the whole arena is a bar. And that's where all the gays hang out. And it's the best part that's where you want to be. It's the most fun part. And all the kids sit in the seats. This is how NCAAs
in the
work.
Stands. They're over there in the stands part. Yeah.
It's very fun. I think it's the appropriate separation for the fun area.
The bar section is did you see that gun on 9825? Did she fall? That's that section.
Mm-hmm. Okay, let's talk about what this meet means. Why do we have this class?
I mean, a good question, first of all. But this is the final qualifier to nationals. So of the 34 seniors who are currently on the roster as we record this, they will probably, change in the week leading up to it, as they always do. But right now, 34 are on the roster. Just 15 of them are qualified to nationals so far. So for the large majority of the people competing at this event, there are some serious stakes because they want to qualify to nationals and they want to get that score. And for seniors, that requires a 52 all-around or a 39.63 event score, which is averaging a 13.2 across 3 events, or a 26.8 2-event score, which is averaging a 13.4 on those 2 events. For juniors, it's a 49 all around. So the most people at this meet, that's the laser focus. That's the main idea. Like, I want to get this qualifying score because not that many people actually are qualified to nationals as seniors thus far. But also for everyone else, we need to reinforce the Hesley paradigm of now she's our most recent example of this. Last year at US Classic, she finished 24th with a 50.35 all-around score and went on to make the Olympic team. And that's how much Classic matters when you talk about making a team. 0. Yep. It matters 0. Even though it is listed on the discretionary criteria as one of the meets they're taking into account. Okay, sure. But also, remember Hesley finished 24th and it didn't matter at all because she made the Olympic team.
Yep. And also this is a reminder of that it really doesn't matter anything because the Olympic team members and the world team members from 2023 are all eligible for World Trials Camp, the selection camp. You don't have to.
Yeah.
They can all petition. So it's like if Sky Blakely, if Joss, if Shy, if Jade, like any of them are like, gonna skip this. Or they show up and warm up or like, never mind, I'm just going to petition to the World Team Camp. They can. So that's how much it matters in the long run. But we are looking for certain things, starting with the very, very, very deeply broad generalization of what the qualifiers are to get to championships. This is technically your last chance to qualify to championships if you're not already qualified.
This is kind of how I'm thinking about the scores right now and how to watch the scores follow along as they come in, which is that a 13-0 on an event is like, okay, you're at US Nationals level. That's what a 52 all-around is. That's averaging a 13.0 on each event. So that's like, if you see a 13-0 come up, it's like, okay, you're at US Nationals level. And then if we start to see like a 13.5, it's like, okay, circle that routine. Maybe put a pin in it on your definitely like cork board in the basement that you have with a lot of red string where you're tracking who's going to qualify and who might make a world team that I assume everyone has, just like me. That's that kind of level. Like, oh, if you have a couple 13-5 events, maybe we're thinking you could qualify to World's Trials, have a look, keep it in mind. And then if you're getting a 14 on an event, you're contending for the World's team. Like, you could legitimately make the World team depending on the event and how things mix and whether, like, Shiley Jones and Sky Blakely come in at the last minute and are like, hi, here's a 15. Everyone run along, children. I got a 15. Send me to Jakarta. But yeah, a 14 is like, okay, now this is you're in the serious zone of you could go to Worlds for that event.
And I just want to add, like, basically, if you're getting a 15 on an event, you're a world champion. Essentially, you're right. You're good.
Unless it's bars and Kaylia Nemour is like, what if I got a 15-5 though?
Then accept.
Joe Yaxin on Beam is like, oh, did you know what I have? But yes, you're definitely, you are one of, if not the absolute very best in the world.
Yeah. And then on vault, it's like, the other events, it's like, if you're a mid to high 14s, that's a top score in the world right now. Mm-hmm. So, okay. So let's talk about the all around.
Yes. Very interested, first of all, to see what the all-around hierarchy is in the US right now, because I think we have a bit of a sense, but don't have a great sense. So right now, the top all-around score recorded at any of the Continental Championships was by Jayla Hang. She got that 55.666 in the team competition. Manila Esposito got a 55.75 at Yes Solo, so that wasn't a Continental Championship, but it's an international event. So those are kind of some of the top ones. Kaylia Nemour got a 56.0 at an event in France that's kind of, if you added all her scores together, even though it wasn't an all-around competition, yada, yada, yada. So that's kind of what's at the top, but I'm watching for Classic. Okay, who is doing the all-around at Classic? Because first of all, you don't have to. So we'll see. But is what we saw at the Pan American Championships reflective of what we're still seeing? Is Jayla Hang the top all-arounder in the United States right now? What about Hesley Rivera, who we know can score very well and was right there at times at the Pan American Championship? She currently ranks second behind Jayla Hang in the US rankings. And then Ashley Sullivan, who's also scored a 54 this year, is third. So is that actually our hierarchy? What if Claire Pease puts up a hit? Because we know she has the potential. We've seen some falls this year. And then Valeri's like, why? We've seen that a few times this year. So we'll see if she puts together 4 hit events. Where does she in that? What about Tiana Sumanasekera? She was coming back. She was injured at Pan Ams and only ended up competing beam. So she wasn't at full strength there. Is she at full strength? Is she competing 4 events? Where does she land? What about the college gymnasts we haven't seen compete this year yet in Elite? Your Leanne Wong, your Joss Robertson, Lexi Zeiss is on the roster. Where do they fit? So a lot of the questions I have are just what actually is the all-around hierarchy? Because when it comes to picking a Worlds team, 4-member team for the women, you probably want your 2 all-around. A team like the US should consider, okay, we need to send 2 people who will 2 per country into the all-around final and be all-around medal contenders. Like, there should be at least 2 people on this team who can win all-around medals at Worlds. So who are those 2 people? We won't get that answered at Classic as we establish, but you start to get some hints and some discussion-worthy glimpses of what might be happening all-around wise.
Yes. Who are the current vaulters? We have lived as KJ Johnson, not KJ Johnson. She is also a great vaulter. But
sure. Jessica's like, I would love KJ Johnson Yurchenko full. In the Jessica code, that is the world champion vault.
Okay. I couldn't remember the quote, but it's KJ Kindler in 2023 after the team kind of melted down, or 2024. And we asked KJ Kindler about it, and she said, "We have lived in the luxury of success for over a decade," talking about Oklahoma's dominance. And so I couldn't remember the quote, but I looked it up. So that's what we're talking about.
And so I think about this like, we had the privilege of living in the era of Simone Biles. What do we do when Simone is not competing? Because the U.S. has always been known as a great vaulting team.
Yeah, I mean, not always having a lot of people with 2 vaults. There have been eras, but yes, the U.S. should have. The U.S. is a strong enough country that they should be able to send medal contenders on every event to an individual world championship, even when most of the Olympic team is not here right now competing. Vault is very interesting because right now Carla Navas of Panama, who won the Pan American Championship, is the overall leader on vault internationally. I don't know that that's going to hold up, but that is the standard right now. Jayla Hang, that was with a 14.334 that she won Pan Am's. Jayla Hang got a 13.85, and that was with her vault being downgraded to pike shape. So that's kind of lower than it would be if she got full credit. Is she getting full credit? I think a goal score, again, as we said, like if you want to be considered for the world's team as a vaulter, they should be looking at your 2 vault average of a 14 in the 14s. That should be a goal. So I'm looking at, okay, Joss Robertson would profiles as this would be a great year for her to make the world's team as like a vault and floor type gymnast. Where is she? Is she competing 2 vaults at Classic? Where would that be? Leanne Wong, does she have the chung that she had last year? Because Leanne beat Joss Robertson at trials on vault with her chung. So is that in play? That could be a game changer on vault. Do we have upgrades on vault? Classic is the time to try out your upgrades on vault. So that is always something worth watching. If you're like, actually, I've been training a chung and I'm ready to show it to y'all, and it was a secret and now it's not, because we can get that.
This is the thing I always think about Leanne. Like, I always think back to Kitty Kyushu when she was one Melnikova away from being world all-around champion too. Like, she almost was. She is just so good. And I would love it. Love for it to be Leanne's year. But, we'll see. Maybe that's
especially
not her
after how the NCAA season ended with Florida and the semifinal and that. It would be nice to have like an elite experience, an elite meet to be like, okay, that never happened. We're not talking about that one anymore. Nope.
You're welcome. I'm a world champion.
On bars, I think it's going to be interesting because what my question is, barring Charlize Jones coming in at the last second and being like, look at my bars routine, is there someone in the US mix who would be taken to Worlds for bars? Is that a priority? Because your basic setup is like, okay, 2 all-arounders, a vault and floor specialist, and a bars and beam specialist for your team of 4. That's the rough foundation. You have to look at what your actual strengths are and who is eligible. But is there someone in the U.S. mix right now you take for bars? Because you have your Hesley Rivera, Jayla Hang, Simone Rose, I think, has been the strongest bars worker for the U.S. so far this year. Claire P is potentially in that mix of like, I'm around a 6.0 D score, a 14.0 total. But then if you're looking at being aware of the international situation on bars where you've got Kaylia Nemour and Yang Fanyue who have broken 15 this year, then you have, okay, you've got Alice D'Amato, you've got Nina Derwal, you have all these people. Like, maybe if bars is an event where 14.0, 14.1 isn't really enough to get you on a team, because can you get a 14.5 that those top athletes are getting? And is there anyone in the US who's getting a 14.5? Or do you say, actually, we're not going to focus on bars because we have 2 vaulters, or we have the floor, or we want to give beam a shot? So speaking of beam, it's kind of the same situation, because you've got Jo Yachin, who can like not do her best and get a high 14 and can get 15s.
Ridiculous.
Unless she loses all of her connections, like at Asian Championships. Manila Esposito has a 14.7. So we could be looking at a beam situation too at Worlds where it takes like a 14.7 to medal. If you have like Chu Chi-Yan and Jo Yachin and Manila Esposito in that final, the thing with beam is no one ever actually, like, all the best beamers don't ever actually all hit at the same time. So you can kind of, if you're somewhere close, like if you've got a 14.1, you're much more in the mix, I think, with beam, because not everyone's going to nail it in qualification, and then not everyone's going to nail it in the event final. But who would you put in your beam? Like, I'm considering you to be a beamer on the world's team, and I want to see how Classic and Nationals go. Like, who's in that conversation for you?
I mean, Jayla Hang is so amazing when she hits, and we do know she got like a 55 at the last camp, and she's like, she's been pretty consistent this year. Now that she's like her ankle healed, and when she hits beam, like, as I've said, it's over for you bitches. But but then I also expect that that Hesley has improved. I'm really interested to see what the WCC gymnasts are doing. But, Jayla is the person that I've been like, when she gets beam, figured out she will be a threat, and I stand by that in this lineup. But I'm really excited to see what people are doing, what upgrades they have, what has changed since we last saw them compete, and see how are they attacking the artistry checklist to add 8/10 to their routines.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, the WCC gymnast, I'm very interested to see Tiana Sumanasakura. Beam has always been, I think her strongest, my favorite event for her, at least. So I want to see where she is in that mix as well. Because I do think that even if you're not getting a 15, there are some exceptionally strong beamers in this group who should be considered to go to Worlds for beam, even if they're not an all-arounder. Floor is very interesting. I think floor is an opportunity. It presents itself as an opportunity for U.S. gymnasts to get into the mix, because I think I'd say the best floor worker in the world right now is Manila Esposito. I know Jessica's not going to disagree with me on that because it's Manila Esposito. She has her 14.5 this year. Sugihara has a 14.133, which is a very strong score, but also someone who is, as we mentioned talking about the floor code last week, someone who is maximizing how the code has changed the connection bonuses on floor and is putting those 0.2s in her routine. And if you look at her composition, there should be many US gymnasts who are saying, I could do Sugihara's tumbling. I can do that routine. That's comfortable for me. So I think the expectation, we haven't seen 14s from the US on floor this year, but there is the expectation that there should be a number of US gymnasts who can get a 14 on floor. And it's an opportunity right now for someone to stake their claim and be like, I'm the floor person. You're not really sure who the floor person is, but I'm getting a 14 on floor. I'm the floor person. That's me. And so that's also like 14s on floor at Classic. I think that's put a big pin in it, put a circle on it.
Yep. And I'm interested to look at the D scores too, because, the high D, according to Gymter.net right now, is 6-1. So this is an opportunity area until Andrade and, other people, the rest of Japan, shows up on floor.
So are you saying tell me that Andrade is doing floor, even though she said we'll never see her on floor again?
Listen, even though she said that, you never know. What if she's like, I feel really good. I'm going to be on this team anyway. Might as well. That's never happened. But in my heart, there's always a possibility that Andrade will compete floor, even though it's literally never happened. And she went to a whole ass world championships where she easily could have won had she just done floor and did not do floor. So, yeah. Kitakyushu, never forget. I was like, are you sure? I literally asked her, are you sure? Because you could just do floor and win. And she was like, no, I trust my coaches. I trust my doctors. I trust the plan. And Olympic champion on floor. So clearly she
trusted the plan.
She trusted the plan and did what was right. Did you just learn that you can't do 5 Hindorf root skills in a row and have to change your entire bar routine? Fuel yourself back up with Huel. Today's sponsor is Huel, spelled Huel, and their Black Edition ready-to-drink option for powering back on when the FIG sabotages your all free hip release bar routine plan. It's not a snack, but better. It's a complete meal in one bottle. The code of points has met its match. It has 35 grams of protein, 27 minerals and vitamins, high fiber, and it has low sugar. So you feel full, focused, and ready to compete in your 50s like Chuso. The best part is no prep, no cleanup, just grab and go. I love this because of the 35 grams of protein and the fiber. And if you know, I'm obsessed with protein, especially since I have an injury right now. And I'm always like, let me quick have my protein after I do my rehab so I can build my friggin' muscles back up. It's delicious and portable, and it has yummy milkshake tasting flavors.
New customers get 15% off plus a free gift using our exclusive code GymCastic at Huel.com. That's 15% off plus a free gift for new customers using our exclusive code GymCastic at Huel.com. Please see our description for the terms and conditions. Skip the stress, not the nutrition. Try Huel today for complete nutrition bottled. Club Gym Nerd. You get discounts and first dibs on live show tickets, an extra whole podcast every week, athlete dossiers for major competitions, code guides, options to commission your own segments. It also makes a great gift. Check it out at gymcastic.com at the Join the Club tab.
Speaking of floor, I'm really, really, really interested to see Risa Sponda. Like Risa Sponda,
Mhm.
I love her floor. She can tumble like crazy. She can do super high D. And I've always been, it's like for her, my sort of floor areas right now are like Ashley Sullivan and Risa
Mhm.
Sponda are the ones that I'm
Mhm.
like, they are in the mix with like the difficulty that they can do could put them in that specialist spot for a world team. And Risa Sponda should be killing the artistry situation, not having any deductions now because she has artistry expert coaches. So I want I want Risa Sponda. I just love her gymnastics so much. And she's like the only elite from her state, even though she lives in Texas now. So anyway, these are my fingers are basically crossed
Mhm.
for her.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely someone who can break into that conversation who we haven't really seen this year. Miley Lou is another one I'm always looking forward to seeing. So she's qualified to nationals on bars and beam, but not in the all around yet. So she's qualified, but not for every event. So there's still something riding on that, even though bars and beam are the main ones where I'm like, those are the ones I want to watch. This is very exciting. But also had a really high all around score this year at an elite qualifier. And the elite qualifier, sometimes you're like, how did these scores happen? But high number, competitive number, has a 54 on her resume this year, can claim it. But exciting to see her. And then, of course, excited to see Nola Matthews for Nola Matthews reasons, just because that's always fun.
Yes. And then if Aki is competing, I'm not sure she's a senior yet. She might be a junior. But she's now at WCC. I think she was with Cleo at Airborne and she's the one that did that crazy, like creepy Halloween doll that's in a haunted house, but is also a character from the Addams Family.
Okay.
They're just that gym Airborne is so good with artistry, and now she's at a double artistry advantage, I think. So, and also no matter what happens with her, like you will love her gymnastics. Like she's one of those people like let's say she never wins anything, she will always be like an Elizabeth Reed. This is the echelon to which I am obsessed with her gymnastics. Before we get to code changes, because we do want to talk about those, I want to let you guys know that Daniel has written an article, a preview about Classic at gymcastic.com. So check that out. It goes into some more details, some more history. Great article. Also, a big congratulations to Daniel because he is our researcher and he just got accepted into the JET program. So he is moving to Japan to teach English. And I'm obsessed with the JET program ever since I met someone when I was like 17, staying at a youth hostel in France who did the JET program. And literally, I asked him every question I'd ever had about doing something like that over dinner. And he answered all the questions for like 2 hours, which we was happy to do, Spencer. I see the look on your face. And I just think it's like such a cool opportunity for people to go learn about another culture and, and teach English. And I'm just very, very excited for Daniel. So congratulations to Daniel. Okay. Gymternet news.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Almost.
Okay. All right. American Classic results we should
Yeah.
discuss. This is the pre-Classic American Classic. Alicia Zhu won the all-around with a 52.35.
So she's on the list for US Classic, but is already qualified to nationals with that result. Beautiful bars. Circle that one on your list of routines to make sure you're watching. Izzy Stasi got silver with a 52.3, and then Miley Lou, who we just mentioned, got bronze with a 51.65 and got a 2-event qualifying score to nationals.
And then Alabama self-reported for an NCAA violation.
I love self-reported NCAA violations. They're my favorite. Because there's some stupid NCAA rules that schools have to be like, all right, they ate too much pizza. Yeah, sorry.
And are there any rules anymore? Honestly. So they had 6 violations. The unforgivable sin, level 3, lowest
6 violations as a school. 1 was gymnastics.
Yes.
But we don't care about those others.
No, they don't. Yeah, this is the overall self-report summary from Alabama.
Yeah.
But gymnastics, a recruit while attending camp shared with staff members that she was committed to UA. Is that Alabama or Auburn? I don't know.
No, that's Alabama. That she was committing there.
Yeah.
How dare she? All the courts.
Unforgivable. I can't believe this is how these self-reports are so stupid. Like, you're supposed to tell a kid to come to the camp, like, don't say you're coming here. Even though it's like the whole point of us hosting camps to like indoctrinate you as a child, which I also love that they do this. Okay, Junior World is going to be in the Philippines in a hotel ballroom.
Great.
I'm so stoked for the Philippines because I love that they should have an explosion of funding to gymnastics because of Carlos Yulo and the Filipino Americans Olympians. And so I'm very excited and I'm very excited that this meet is going to look like remember the olden days when Classic was always like in a hotel ballroom in Vegas with like chandeliers? I just want chandeliers. Is that too much to ask?
We've had a long time with some long history of ballroom meets. Yes. Remember that year, like World's Trials was a hotel ballroom meet?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's I don't have good associations with the if there's a carpet with pattern like a casino on the floor, I'm like, oh shit. So anyway, I don't want that, but I do want chandeliers.
You're just like, oh wait, are there mats at this meet?
And I'm like, why? An arena? Give the kids an arena. Okay. In case you missed it, Chuso won a medal on her 50th birthday.
Perfect.
Yes, in Tashkent, which I know that they have, World Cups in Tashkent. But basically they hosted this one on her birthday just for her, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
they've hosted events before, but yes, this was the Chuso birthday meet, and she won vault silver.
And then they did a big ceremony. There are many other like Tashkentian Olympians who did ceremonies and gave her flowers and stuff.
Uzbek, is that what you were looking for?
Yes,
Tashkentian.
That is. Well, I thought maybe they were from Tashkent, not just. I want to designate the city specifically.
Okay.
You're a San Franciscan,
sure,
or a New Yorker. One of those. Yeah. Okay. New world record D score in double mini. This is a big deal, you guys. Cumbria, they just had the World Cup. Coming up this is the year of the World Games for TNT. And the World Games are basically the Olympics for TNT because they don't have like tumbling and double mini are not in the Olympics, but they have the World Games. So if you win the World Games, it's bigger than being a world champion in double mini or tumbling, which by the way, I have told you, go see men's high bar. If you don't understand why men's gymnastics is exciting to watch, go watch high bar and vault in person. You will fall out of your chair. Or, what I've always said, go see Simone Biles in person. Watch double mini or tumbling. You don't have to go in person. Watch a video of it. Just Google it on the YouTubes, especially Ruben Padilla, who just got the world title and the new highest difficulty ever recorded on double mini, just 13.9. Just Google it. Your mouth will drop open. Your palms might sweat. That's what happens to me.
That's definitely true.
Yeah, it's amazing. And I also, I feel like there should only be a tumbling coach who teaches tumbling at national team developmental camps and national team camps. It should be a tumbling coach, not an artistic gymnastics coach, very specifically, because all tumblers that are a high level have better tumbling than artistic gymnasts. Simone and Andrade accepted. There are exceptions, obviously, Spencer, but in general, as a 99.9% rule, they're better. So congratulations to Ruben. He's amazing. Sam Peshek is engaged. She revealed that Matt has proposed to her. I knew it was the one, just so you guys know.
Oh, okay.
This guy. You know why? Because she introduced him and she was like, will you explain this stuff about gymnastics to him? And I was like, oh, that's new. Okay. You want me to talk to your boyfriend about gymnastics? I will. And he was very interested. He is a guy that will hold her purse. And that is what
if you're an Olympic medalist, that's what you're looking for.
That's what you need to be. You need to be the same thing with Kyla Ross's when he was her boyfriend, now husband. Like, he would hold her purse and stand to the side and hand pens out for when she was getting autographs. And I was like, this is a person who understands the hierarchy of you as in your public life. And that's very important. So anyway, he's a pilot and he flies her around places. And so he had a big thing on the plane. and then they flew in the plane after he proposed, and it's a whole thing. I find that terrifying personally, but whatever floats your boat. There is a documentary about Melanie de Jesus dos Santos, the most perfect gymnast ever of all time. It's called Golden Soul, which is so beautiful. It's on YouTube. We'll put a link to it in the show notes. And you get to see a lot of her at home, in Martinique, and living her life and being with her family. And I love that part of it. Simone and Suni have been nominated for an ESPY. That's an ESPN award. Simone nominated for Paris Best Athlete, while Suni is the best comeback athlete. I like that. I like Suni's odds for this.
Okay.
Like, you were an Olympic champion, then you almost died with kidney disease, basically. And I feel like any kidney disease where you're hospitalized many times means it's life-threatening. I feel like we take that for granted. Like, when people are like, I got the flu, I had to go to the hospital, it was nothing. I was like, if you had to go to the hospital, it means that probably if you hadn't, you wouldn't be here. So I'm just saying she should win. I don't care what any of those sports ball people have been through. It should absolutely go to Suni. And voting is open. Awards are July 16th, so you guys can vote now at espn.com/ESPYs. Nina Durwal got married, engaged, now married. So we are going to have do we have a married world champion? That hasn't happened in a while.
I would like to give fact checker some credit here for the title of this story being Nina adds another connection. That was excellent. And
I ignored it.
I want that to not go unnoticed because that's excellent.
I ignored it because I was like, oh, it's like a dad joke.
It is. It's very much a dad joke. It's an extremely dad joke.
I love that you've acknowledged his good works here. Moving news. Oh my gosh, did you see that Ashleigh Gnat is leaving LSU? No longer going to be an assistant coach. Out of there. Didn't say what she's doing. Just pursuing other, bubbity bubs. So who do you think will be there?
I don't know.
Who do you think would be
certainly be a sought after position.
Yeah. And it's happening very late in the, a lot of coaches already gotten swept up, moved, taken.
Yeah.
There's not a big pool. So, Clemson added out a whole bunch of gymnasts. Paige Anastasi from UCLA, Ella Cesario from Cal, Sophie Stewart is coming in. Let's see. Riley McCusker is coming back for a 5th year at Florida.
Excellent.
My God.
This is the beam year. We're calling it now.
Yes.
This is
please.
Riley anchors the beam lineup all season long, 2026. This is what's happening. We've declared it.
Yes. Alexis Jeffrey coming back for 5th year at LSU. Chase Brock announced on social media she's coming back for a 6th year at where's
LSU.
Chase Brock at? LSU. 6 years, which is not unprecedented. That has happened before. It's that freaking football player that's been in NCAA for 9 years now. Is he have a fucking PhD yet or what? If you're in for 9 years. But then again,
I love that you're asking me like I know anything about who you're talking about.
I'm just saying, because you have to be eligible, you have to keep making progress towards a degree. That's one of the things. Unless, I understand if you're like in a car accident and you're out of school for a whole year. Like, that shouldn't count against you. But anyway, Addie Hewitt's going to Denver. Cal has added Brittany McClure, former coach at Air Force. And she is now associate coach at Cal. So, and Brittany McClure, you might recognize that last name. She's her own individual person deserving of this job. But interestingly, she is married to former Cal men's head coach who saved that program when it was being cut. And then Brett McClure, who then went on to and still runs the men's program. So he's the head coach, basically. I know it's a trident and all that nonsense, but he's basically the head coach. So now the question is he, so I guess, are they all moving back to California? That's the question. Because, USAG was always like, if you work these jobs, you have to live in these places. But there's no men's team at the, where are they? Colorado Springs. So why be there? Also, after longer than a decade, we have changed our logo. We talked about it. I talked about it at length because Spencer is always like, we have a press release about it so you can read all about it. I just send it periodically to Spencer and I'm like, thoughts? And it has its own special font. It has made it so we can have many different variations. And most importantly, I mean, the important thing for me was it's very flexible, so we can use it and adapt it to different scenarios. People behind the scenes were like, yes, have one for Cinco de Mayo, have one for St. Patrick's Day, which I
Arbor
love.
Day. Yeah.
Yes. All the days, constantly changing the logo. I think
create your own holidays like Climate Change Floor Routine Day.
Yes.
Have one for that.
We should have one logo with a shaved eyebrow just for Protonova.
For Protonova Day, yeah.
For Protonova reasons. Yes.
Fine. I would need to look up what Protonova's birthday is, and then it can be International Shaved Eyebrow Day.
We need to do
Why haven't we established this before?
My God, we've been slacking.
All right, 15th of February.
Okay.
15th of February 2026 is International Shaved Eyebrow Day, and it will be celebrated.
I'm sure Vicky is listening to this, our wonderful graphic designer who's also been a volunteer at our live shows for many, many years. And she's also like, you can read about her. She's a big time graphic designer. She's like works on like Yellowstone and MTV and all of these TV shows. So we're very grateful to work with her. And I'm sure she's like, I have a full-time job. How many of these things do you want me to make?
Protonova Day, Shaved Eyebrow Day.
February 15th. Vicky, very important. I mean, the thing is, we should just change it and see if people notice. And the people that know will know. Yes. Okay. Dumpster fire news. Switching gears radically. We have information from thestate.com that confirms that Amy Smith was fired with cause. They obtained documents clarifying that Amy Smith, who was the head coach at Clemson, was fired with cause. The report doesn't list any details. With cause means that Clemson doesn't have to pay a buyout, basically. Like if they're basically like, we're gonna give you an opportunity to spend more time with your family. That's, they're not listing a cause. They're letting you leave, but they fired her with cause, which means that she doesn't get any of her payout. Which, you guys, if you have any kind of employment contract that doesn't have a payout, if you're in a position to negotiate that, make sure golden parachutes are not just for finance bros and attorneys. They're for regular people too. So if you can negotiate it, negotiate it. Oh my God. And then did you read about this? This is so horrible. The LSU strength and conditioning coach for gymnastics, Katie Guillory, she was in a jet ski accident and then they couldn't get blood flow to her lower leg. So they had to amputate it. You guys, boating things in water with propellers terrify me. I like these totally even though I feel like jet skiing will be so fun, but like there are blades swirling through the water extremely fast, and then there's a bunch of people in the water. Jet skis don't have propellers. Okay, fine, fact checker, doing your job. Well, whatever they have. Booster jets of water they spray behind them. I'm just saying, and then people drink and then they drive the boats. It makes me very, very nervous. So I just want to say we're thinking of her and best wishes to her because that's like incredibly traumatic and super gnarly. Okay. Would you like to revisit our conversation about the code? Because we left off last week when we were talking about the bar skill changes. We didn't get do everything. So I think we left off at you can only do one Jaeger.
Okay. Yeah.
You
can only do one Jaeger now.
Yeah. Because we get the forward stalters upgraded to a D, stalter forwards now an E, only one Jaeger, as long as it's in the same line. We describe
that's the Tkachev rule.
Tkachev rule, sorry. And the line, so when you're looking at the code, it has things on the same line or like all variations of one skill. That's what you mean by the line, right? Like they're in the same box.
The row. There's a row that's,
Which I feel like I would like it to be described in a different way and like the variation or the root skill box or something. And then I would also like it color coded because I really like the color coding of the new. Also, I went back and looked at the old code and I was like, oh my God, they did have all the symbols in the old code.
Yeah, I wasn't lying to you.
No, I know, but I was like, how have I not seen this? But it was just so analog sketch looking. I don't mean sketchy. I mean like it just did not stand out the way it does now. Or maybe my eyes work better, my brain works better.
I think there's something very interesting to be analyzed about the addition of color and how it focuses your attention to other things that aren't even color coded.
Well, I feel like
I think it's just interesting.
Well, because I feel like this is so important because I feel like the code is written for a specific kind of brain, and it's also translated a million different ways. So and now it's more accessible to other kinds of brains, through creative types like myself. But I'm interested to know
as long as you don't have to be able to differentiate the colors in order to understand what's happening, because then it's not accessible to me.
The colorblind people, right. So you want it to be, neuro accessible, but also accessible in all the other ways, which makes me wonder if there's what accessibility they have in it. Okay. Some noteworthy things that I want to talk about. These aren't changes, just things that I want to remind people of, just in case they happen. Because we did that episode for the Olympics, where we predicted the Olympics, and then it happened because something.
We were like, "Here's what's happening with inquiries."
They were a mess, and really, they haven't changed anything. So, touching the board counts as a fall, just like ball on bars. So, if you run, touch bars, I think we talked about that. If how you fall, if you fall on bars, how some people do like a running kip. So you're hanging on the bar, but you walk your feet out and sort of run into a kip.
Okay.
That's ugly. So if you do it, that shit counts as a fall. That's what the code said. That shit ugly. Don't do it. So remount in a pretty way or they will count it as a fall, basically. You can't do 8 variations of a free hip release and get credit.
Correct. There is a root skill limit.
Yeah. But what if you're just an Hindorf ninja?
You could do 3. 3 is plenty. I'm totally fine with this being a thing. You need to show breadth of mastery of different roots in your bars routine.
I agree. I mean, this is the whole point, is to show mastery of the variety and depth of skills, which is why you still have to do a full turn. Oh, sorry. On floor, you can do, but you don't actually anymore. You can roll any ass way you want.
Right. You can do, You can do a series of rolls.
Which is perfect. Or a head spin. You guys, you could still do a head spin, and you can have a leotard that has a hood attached to it. So you can whip your hood out, not during your routine. Do your head spin. You guys, this is allowed. It doesn't say in the hood rule that you have to wear a head covering the entire time. It feels better to say head covering than a hood for many reasons. So I'm going to change that.
Okay.
Yeah. So, okay. I love this rule. It's the we care about ligaments rule. That's
do we?
It's only for we only care about ligaments for dismounts, though. Clearly not on turning leaps. If you're 90 degrees short of a twist on a dismount, downgraded. None of this. Credit to the gym. We know you were trying 90 degrees.
That's a lot. That's very short.
That's extremely short. We had to write a rule about that. That wasn't obvious. You shouldn't get credit. Oh, but I'm glad they clarified, because clearly there was a problem. They didn't freaking clarify it. 90 degrees? Oh, you guys. Okay. The float rule. This is what I'm calling it. Okay. Not root beer. Okay. But
so it's not that you have to have a root beer float if you fall on bars.
Well, that should be a rule, I think. It's insufficient height of flight. So think about a dismount. Okay.
I'm thinking.
All right. Do you remember?
I got a dismount in mind.
Did Jordan Childs get her first 10? Was it at Maryland? Was that a 10?
This season? There was a Maryland.
We had a big fight about it because I was like, you were like, there's no way, because her dismount.
That was this season. Not
this season. Anyway.
All right. Anyway, yes, there was a meet at Maryland, and Jordan Childs got a 10 on bars, and I contended that I didn't think the amplitude on the dismount, among other things, as well as control on the dismount, was at a 10 level, because she, and we saw it later in the season, can release with perfect timing and get the height and distance she's looking for, and this one kind of went out and didn't get as high.
And I made lots of charts and graphs and lines on screenshots.
And you were like borderline. That was your conclusion. Yeah, I was like, it's borderline, and I'm okay with it.
technically she's above the bar. So I actually like the float rule because this is why I want to say call it this, because you should, if something is done properly, you should see the parabola and you should see, or the rainbow. Don't get on me about the parabola. People are already
We had an
writing their
issue with
emails.
mathematicians and Jessica saying parabola.
I
And
know, but
we're past it. We're over it. We're done.
it's fine. The rainbow shape, where it should look like someone goes up in the air, floats for a second, anti-gravity style, and then starts their descent. And the thing about this rule clarification is that your peak center of gravity in a flight element better be way above the bar, not just above it, not just, well, technically, if I draw a line on a screenshot, then you can see. It better be super obvious they're above the bar. And that, I feel like, is very helpful. Not above the bar, way ass above the bar.
That's what the code says. Way ass above the bar.
Way ass above the bar. If it's
that sounds just like Donatella. She'd be like, they have to be way ass above the bar.
If you're at the high bar level, that's a 10th, and if you're below the high bar level, 3/10. Mm-hmm. So just think about that. Like, think about, throw something in the air, should look like it pauses for a second before it descends,
but
then
don't
no
throw
deduction.
It in anger, or you will junk up your shoulder like Jessica.
You guys, my shoulder's so injured. I was like talking to my PT, and I was like, oh, so this isn't going to be like, you would have loved this, because I was like, so it's not going to be, I thought I'd be in here like 6 to 8 weeks, and I was like, not a couple months. And he was like, you mean 6 to 8 weeks? And I was like, all right, smart ass. This is like talking to Spencer.
I think you're used to it. Yeah,
I know you would. Well, he did try to say highlight, and there was a parent next to me, and he instead said jyli, and me and the parent both laughed out loud and said, you mean highlight, at the same time? And I thought of you immediately because you enjoy the sport of highlight. So then we had to look it up and watch videos of it.
Do I enjoy it?
You enjoy it, Spencer.
Okay.
You played in
we had
elementary school.
Scoopies in elementary school. We did. We didn't know how to play it, but they existed.
Anyway, side note.
Yeah. If you liked that little interlude, subscribe to Behind the Scenes, because we do that for like an hour every Friday. Just exactly that.
The precision rule. Did we cover this last week?
Deduction for any season.
Talk about this precision rule.
Well, there are many. I mean, precision is a deduction on any event for lots of things, but in particular, something that is relatively new is gymnasts on bars. If you're doing a straddled release out of a stalder, like a stalder Tkachev, a Rechna, the legs have to come together after you've done your stalder before you show your straddle position in the release. So you can't just be like, I'm straddling already because I'm doing a stalder, so why don't I keep that straddle position for the whole release, and now I've done a straddle Tkachev. You have to stalder straddle, the legs come together, and then you initiate the straddle of the release. So those have to be two separate straddles.
Which, this is the thing, I mean, for so long, think about the 80s when the bars weren't far apart enough to do an actual giant swing. And so the way people would catch Tkachevs is basically, if you imagine how it would look on the floor, they're laying on their back, reaching through between their legs to grab the bar, like a contortionist. Like, it was done in such a way that no one rotated all the way around. Now it's like you have to rotate, and you have to get your legs back together, and you have to be all the way turned over, as the coaches would say, not still rolling in the flip. And you got to get your legs together. What do you think of this? I kind of like it.
It's one of those things where I'm like, I didn't have a problem with it to begin with. I mean, I don't have a problem with either, really. So I'm kind of like, okay, it's okay, but
I kind of like a slappy feet. I like extra legs. I would like them to allow you to do like a Boganskaya style entry into a toe on and split one leg like Boganskaya did because it was so beautiful. But you can't do that anymore because it's 100% a deduction. Lame, as we know. FIG. Motto, stop being creative, since 1881. An empty swing after a shaposh.
Yeah, that's a no-go. Well, it is. You can do it after a shaposh, but you got to do something.
Yeah,
Gotta do
it's
something else.
basically like you cannot, like, it's kind of the only time that you can do it.
So an empty swing on bars is when you are swinging one direction and then you start to swing the other direction without doing an element, basically. So there has to be a skill in there. The only time you're allowed to do an empty swing is if you've done a Shaposhnikova element, that backswing after you've grabbed the high bar, you're allowed to do that backswing and then swing forward, but you can't then just kip. You used to be able to kip cast handstand after that, and that was fine. You have to do like an element, like a real, you have to connect it to something.
So you better uprise out of it into a free hip skill, or you better do a half turn, or you better do a freaking in-bar salter out of it. Oh, also remember, you guys, when people do a Shaposhnikova, in that swing back, your legs better be straight, your toes better be pointed, and your body better be straight. You can't do that backswing and be like in a archy, bent, like, you know,
my
alligator
NCAA
arms.
10 says that's wrong, and I can.
Mm-hmm. So ignore all. This is why I don't like to look at the NCAA rules ever, because they're wrong. They're never followed. Also, your your shaposh better be pretty or else rule. You better get horizontal on your shaposh, your backswing out of it.
Mhm.
Horizontal. Legs together, toes pointed, knees together, hollow, or it's a half a point deduction, Spencer. Do not catch me seeing you doing some baby swing with your legs apart out of your shaposh. Half a point. You might as well half fall off the bar doing that ugly ass backswing. So, vault. Oh, Ashleigh Gnat update coming in. Good job, fact checker. Ashleigh Gnat is moving to Tampa to be with her long-term partner and will be working at GK. Vault.
Let's talk about it. So, new major thing on Vault is the 0.2 bonus for vaults of different post-flight directions. So after you've touched the vaulting table, is your flip, you doing a backward flip as one of your vaults and a forward flip as your other vault. If you're doing that, you get your 0.2 bonus for different directions of post flights. If you're not, you don't. So we had that come up at the European Championships this year, where Georgieva of Bulgaria did a Yurchenko double full and a Suk 1.5. That the scores of the vaults would have put her into first place, but she did not get the 0.2 bonus because those are both backward flipping vaults, whereas Schoenmeier of Germany did a Yurchenko double full and a Lopez, which is a round off half on front half. So she got had the different post-flight directions. She got the 0.2 bonus, and that put her into the gold medal position. Georgieva was silver because she didn't have the 0.2 bonus, so it did come up. So it's already been a big deal, bigger than I thought it was going to be, basically.
Do you think so? This is different than the two families. This is just the post-flight directions.
Different than families. This is a bonus for post-flight direction of Salto.
Yeah. Okay. Also,
so, like, you know, if for example Simone would fulfill this because she's doing a Yurchenko double pike. That's a backwards flip. You're flipping backwards. And she's doing, you know, a chung, which is a round off half on front salto with 1.5 twists. So she's doing a front salto and a back salto. So if this rule were in effect for Simone last year, she would have had a 0.2 bonus.
Also, just to clarify with Ashleigh Gnat, her long-term partner is a boy named Jarrett DeHart, who was a baseball player. All the baseball players that are listening are going to be so offended, but they're also going to understand. You know what I mean? Baseball players, you understand. That's all. I just want to clarify.
I don't understand what's happening right now, but that's not unusual.
You know, sometimes when people say partner, people are like, oh, that's not a straight.
Oh, I didn't go there.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else on?
There also is something you might be interested in on Vault. They've added a new deduction, a new 0.3 for round off half on vaults. So that's group 5 in the code. You're doing a round off half on, like we just mentioned, like a chung, for not completing enough of the turn in pre-flight. Is a new 0.3 deduction. So
if you're not
like
all the way
actually
turned
doing
around,
the turn, the half turn before you've touched the vault, if you're cheating that, for instance,
Yep. Yeah. I totally understand that. I think that's a very good deduction.
Can I go back to floor exercise to complain about something? And I want to
Please.
also see if you will equal my complaints.
I'm ready.
Okay. The language of the split jump on floor. Just a basic split jump. You are jumping to a split position. Now says split jump, 180-degree separation of legs, back leg straight or bent.
What? Oh.
And to that, I would like to say absolutely not.
No. Unless, no.
Absolutely unacceptable. I don't want to see that. I don't want to see that back leg bent. There are some things that I miss from 1991 gymnastics and some things that need to be left in 1991. And that back leg needs to be left in 1991. I don't want to see that.
It needs to be at a full perfect 90 degrees if it's bent. It can't just be bent. It needs to be not a ring position, that's different, but it needs to be a perfect angle. Like, I like a double stag.
And if you do that, aren't you getting, oh, you tried to do a split ring jump and didn't have enough head release, I'm going to deduct for that.
Well, see, that's the problem. You have to make it really obvious. Like, think about those chaîné turns, I think they're called, where you do like a turn on tippy toe and then you leap and then leap and leap in circles. Like in the Nutcracker. When
like in the Nutcracker.
Just like that. Well, like that with the back leg bent, if it's all the way bent, is actually cool, and I like that. But
is anyone going to be doing that?
I mean, who are the two people that have had dance? There's going to be like Ithora and that kid from England who was in the Broadways, who has the best floor routine ever because she's literally a Broadway dancer, or whatever they call it in England, the East. It's not the East End.
West End.
West End, sorry. It was a direction. You guys got the idea. Because I could watch her all day. But how are you going to do this without getting Are people just going to get deductions right and left for this?
I think it's horrible. I don't want to see it.
Okay. Let us conclude today's festivities.
Okay.
By reminding everyone that you need to go get your live show ticket at gymcastic.com right now. You can log on and start asking questions. We'll write them down. We're ready. We are a small staff. Don't wait because doors open at 7:30. You can come in, get a drink, and don't be late because 8:00 we promptly start the shenanigans and the giveaways, the stuff that you cannot buy anywhere available. So that's Friday, July 18th. Doors open at 7:30. And don't forget to sign up for Fantasy for Classic at gymcastic.com. And we will be doing our instant take right after Classic, but it's probably going to be about an hour after the meet ends because the arena closes very early. And so we were going to need to get to where we're staying and then conduct post-show podcast shenanigans from there. So good luck on Fantasy. We will see you at the live show. Make sure to come and say hi. Very excited. I'm very excited to watch Classic. Very excited to be in Chicago. And remember, too, until Friday at the live show, take off on gay, split on rights, and we'll see you Friday at 7:30 at the IO Theater in Chicago. Thanks for listening. KJ, the head coach at Oklahoma, would say, that we have lived in the what was that quote that she'd say? We have lived in the God damn it.
This is a great quote.
This is such a good quote.
Yeah.
We
have lived in the goddamn it. As KJ Kindler famously says, we have lived in the goddamn it. That quote is on their new training gym expansion. It's like in like italics, loopy, like we have lived in the goddamn it. KJ Kindler.